My name is Nick Twinberg. I'm a UC Davis student, and my major is exercise biology, which is just biology, and then we kind of focus on how exercise affects the human body. So we look at things like anatomy, nutrition, metabolism, which is one of the subjects I'm going to talk about today, and just things of that nature. So the thing I want everyone here to get out of this presentation is, what is metabolism? Why is it important? Why am I even telling you about it, right? And are you on paper?
It could be on the back of something, it don't matter. As long as we have it.
Oh, okay. And then the third thing is, how can we actually take advantage of this? So how can we take the knowledge that we know about metabolism and apply it to, when we go out grocery shopping, when we cook something. And so that's kind of what I'm hoping that you guys can get out of this. So metabolism basically is just all the things, all the chemical processes going on in the body that work to make energy. That's its whole purpose, is it makes energy. It's just like the engine of a car, right? You give it gas, but without an engine, that gas cannot do anything. So that engine takes the gas and it lets you drive all around town, go wherever you need to go, right? It takes you where you need to go. Same thing with metabolism. The way I'm talking right now, my metabolism is giving me energy to move my mouth and make sounds. And you guys are listening, your body's giving you energy so that you can hear what I'm saying, take it in, try to understand it. And that's what metabolism is doing. So obviously it's extremely important, right? Because we all need energy. We wouldn't be able to survive without it. There are two kind of main things that metabolism does with energy. It can either take it in and break it down so that you can use it. So that's what happens when you eat. You eat a piece of toast, your metabolism will take that and break it down into little molecules and stuff so that you can use that energy. Or it can take those little molecules and build it up and store it. That's what fat is. That's all fat is it's stored energy. That's your body's way of taking in extra food that you ate and just storing it away. So it can either break things down or build things back up. Now, there are three sources that we get our energy from. And we've probably all heard of them. One is fats, one is carbohydrates, and the other is protein, right? I'm sure everyone's heard these to some extent. So all our energy is derived from these three things. And these three things come in all our food. All our food has some form of this, right? That's why we eat. That's the whole reason we eat. If the food didn't give us this, we couldn't survive. That's why you can't live off of water, even though water is so healthy. It has no energy in it. So you drink a bottle of water, you don't feel full, right? It doesn't really give you anything. So I just want to go through the three things then and give you some examples of what foods they come in the most. So the first one is carbohydrates. So what are carbohydrates? Well, basically they're just sugar. So you get these in candy. Candy is like almost 100% carbohydrates because it's all sugar, right? It comes in desserts. It comes in bread. Bread has a lot of carbs. It comes in potatoes. It comes in corn. Any kind of starchy food or any food that comes from grain. So rice. Rice is almost all carbs. Anything like that, that's where you can get carbohydrates from. The second energy source is fat. The main place you get fat is usually meats and dairy products. And that's pretty obvious to anybody who cooks and you get a piece of beef and you see that big, there's like fat on it and and stuff like that, and you start cooking like bacon and it like fills up with oil, that's all fat. And so those are the two main sources. Meat and dairy usually is where you get your fat from. Protein comes from a lot of different sources. It comes from meat, it comes from dairy, it comes from beans, comes from pasta, comes from bread. It's in a lot of things. So most things will have a little bit of protein. Some things have more than others. And then, so the important thing is to understand about these things is the body does not treat all these equally. It does not use all of these energy sources the same. The body loves carbohydrates, right? Everybody here probably loves sweet stuff, right? So, and there's a reason for that. And the reason is because, I'm not going to get into the details, but the body can use sugars with less effort than it can fat. So it's like, if I told you I want you to meet me in Davis tomorrow, and I said I'll give you the option of driving or running, right? You would never pick running. That would be just insane because it's so much effort. And that's the same way the body works. So it doesn't want fat as much because it takes a lot more effort for your body to break that down and use it in a way that can get you to where you need to go and do the things you want to do. But one of the problems is most people get most of their energy from fat. And this is why this is bad, because you don't want all your energy from fat, because I just said, right? You don't use it as well. And if you can't use something as well, and you have too much of it, your body just ends up storing it. And your body loves to store things in fat. That's its favorite form of taking any energy it didn't use and storing it. And this is, unfortunately, a problem sometimes because, we all wish if we just overate that our body would just get rid of everything, right? That would be the most convenient thing. Unfortunately, that's not what happens. The body is so clever and so well adapted that if you give it too much food, it's going to say, hey, I'm just gonna put this away so you can use it later. And then it keeps putting more away, and it puts more away, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it can become an issue. And it's kind of a blessing and a curse. If you're trapped in a desert, you want to have a lot of fat because if you have water in a desert, you can survive for up to a month with no food because your body can use that fat as storage. But that in normal day-to-day life, we're not sitting in a desert with nothing but water, right? So that can be a problem. Let's see what I forget. Proteins. Most people, they've heard about proteins from muscle. Everybody's probably heard something about that, like, you need lots of protein if you want to get big and strong. It's true, but protein is actually very important for many other reasons that I won't get into too much, but it's used for many purposes in the body. And as an energy source, the body doesn't use proteins that much. It doesn't really like it. For whatever reason, it chooses carbohydrates and fats over protein. So it prefers carbohydrates, and then the next one is fats, and then the last one is protein. I'm not 100% sure why it prefers fats over proteins, so I'm not going to try to guess why. Let's see what else. Make sure I didn't forget anything here. Oh, that's right. So not all the energy sources hold the same amount of energy when you actually eat them. And what I mean by that is, if you take 1 cup of fat, if we could just, pull them out separately, we have 1 cup of fat, 1 cup of carbs, and 1 cup of protein, there's actually a lot more energy in fat. It's actually double what it is in the other two. And this is one of the reasons why the body likes to store things as fat, because it has a lot more energy. It can hold more energy. And so this is a good thing to keep in mind and I'm going to get to this later so it'll become more clear, but when you look at foods, if you ever look at nutrition facts, it tells you the calories, and it tells you fats, and carbohydrates, and proteins, right? All calorie is the sum of those three energy sources I've been talking about. That's all it is. It's not anything fancy. It's just math. It just adds up how much of the other thing is. But keep in mind, fat has more energy. So if you're buying foods that are really high in fat, well, that means you're buying foods that are much higher in calories, because fat has a lot more energy in the same amount compared to the other two things. So keep that in mind for now. I'm going to get back to that later, I think. Let's see if I forget anything. This is